Hello, this is Crystal Racing here with the 2020 Austrian Grand Prix race report and the driver's crystal score. Starting off with race winner Valtteri Bottas. Absolutely perfect weekend. Had Lewis Hamilton's number in practice, qualifying and the race. Okay, yes, I know Hamilton closed up on Valtteri mid-stint, but as far as I'm concerned, Valtteri Bottas wins the first race once again, just like he did last season. Second place was Charles Leclerc, another 10 out of 10, just like Valtteri Bottas, who also gets 10 out of 10. I honestly do not know how on earth Leclerc got that utterly wretched Ferrari into P2. A fantastic drive, well measured. He didn't make any mistakes during the race, and crucially, he got past the racing point, and both McLarens when the opportunity opened up. Honestly, he's got to be the driver of the day for me. That car is just so criminally awful right now. It's got so much understeer, and it has a habit of snapping to a tank slapper as well on the exit of corners if you actually watch the onboards from F1 TV. Third place, and for the first time in his career, Lando Norris finishes on the podium. A fantastic performance by the 20-year-old Briton. 9 out of 10 for his performance this weekend. Qualified fourth, started P3 thanks to Hamilton's penalty. Yes, I know he had a few iffy moments here and there. Of course, his teammate, he got overtook by Leclerc, and then of course he probably lost quite a bit of time fighting his teammates' sides. But then of course, that final lap, he absolutely nailed it. A fantastic final lap that set the fastest lap of the race and grabbed P3. Of course, Lewis Hamilton having the penalty. P4, of course, was Lewis Hamilton. I'm gonna give him 8 out of 10. Got caught speeding on the double wave yellows in qualifying, meaning he had to start P5. And then, of course, in the race, he had that incident with Alex Albon. Now, I know you're probably sitting there thinking, Alex, it was a racing incident, Alex Albon, but you've got to realise, though, Alex Albon was about more than a car length ahead. And yes, Lewis Hamilton was on full lock, but, you kind of got to wonder, should have Lewis Hamilton just let him by a bit more easily and then wait for an opportunity to fight Alex Albon back, a few corners later? I think that could have been the case, but, Lewis Hamilton does seem to have lost a little bit of racecraft recently. This is the same incident he's had with Alex Albon back at Brazil last year. It is technically the second incident they've had together in 3 races. Yes, I know Brazil was 8 months ago, but something's not quite right with Lewis Hamilton's racecraft anymore, because I think having spent so long in such dominant cars, he doesn't seem to have that ability to... That time going wheel to wheel with people is beginning to get a lot less frequent for Lewis, and he is getting more used to being out in front, just like how Sebastian Vettel used to just be out in front by himself when he was at Red Bull, when his car was so dominant. And I think this is finally beginning to creep in with Lewis. It's got to be 8 out of 10. He's 13 points behind Valtteri Bottas already. If Valtteri Bottas wins again next weekend, all of a sudden Lewis Hamilton is actually in quite a bit of trouble. 5th place is Carlos Sainz, who got out qualified by Norris. Yes, I know Sainz closed in on Norris later on in the race, but then was forced to fall back basically because of team orders. But I've got to say, this has probably been a bit of an average weekend for Carlos Sainz. I just... for a driver of his experience and the fact he's going to Ferrari, I would expect a bit more, but, well, at least he's had a better race than what can be said for some people. 6th place was Sergio Perez, the pink Mercedes. looked very quick all weekend, but of course, thanks to his team's strategy to put him on the hard tyres, which were fading off very badly last 10 laps, he had to settle for 6th place. Not the best strategy, I have to say, and to be honest, I've got to say, I don't think Perez made as much of that car as he should have done. Yes, I know we did jump ahead of Albon during the pit stop and was running third for a bit, but then he got re-overtook by Albon. And to be honest, and then he fell, and he kind of got overtaken a bit too quickly by the McLarens, I have to say. It's kind of, people going about this guy's ability to look after tyres. I think he just slightly, considering this is probably the best car he's driven for quite some time, considering, of course, it is basically last year's Mercedes, but dressed up as a racing point. I was just a little bit underwhelmed by Perez. 7th place was, of course, Pierre Gasly, the Carlos Sainz of this race. Absolutely no one noticed Pierre Gasly, very quietly getting over his business. A 9 out of 10 performance. He just, he kept his nose clean. He drove very calmly, very precisely. I can't say anything anymore. He did everything right today. 8th place was Esteban Ocon, his first race in almost 2 years, driving for Renault, and I have to say I was quite underwhelmed, to be honest. His pace all weekend has looked very average. Didn't look like he could really get rid of Magnussen that well. I mean, for goodness sake, you're struggling to beat a horse, Esteban. That's really poor, by the way. And he just looks a bit rusty. Maybe the speed will come back, but all weekend, Ricciardo easily had the edge on him. That's quite worrying. And to be honest, he doesn't exactly look better than Hulkenberg whatsoever at this point. 9th place was Antonio Giovinazzi, 7 out of 10. Because, let's be real here, folks, he only got ahead at a pit stop in front of Kimi because of the safety car, the timing of the safety car, and of course all those cars dropping out. I've got to say, I didn't actually find Giovinazzi's race pace that impressive at all. I mean, he had to give way to Kimi for about 10 laps in, but then of course, Kimi suffering that tyre failure and all that. I mean, it meant, of course, Giovinazzi was the one who then went forwards. Having said that, though, he did beat Sebastian Vettel. I'm going to have to do a separate video for Sebastian Vettel because I've got so much to say about him and Ferrari. It's unreal. Yeah, struggled with pace all weekend long. Qualified 11th, missed out Q3, started, and then of course in a race he just got stuck in that midfield fight, and then of course he did decide to try and come out. Once again he tried that late lunge on Carlos Sainz, only of course he over rotated the car and spun again. I mean, at that moment, he just literally vindicated by Ferrari on bidding him for next year. And having said that, though, I did watch an onboard of his Ferrari, and my goodness me, that car looks like an utter handful, even worse than Leclerc's car for some reason. And that radio message where Sebastian complains that the car doesn't feel the same as it did on Friday. What's going on there, Ferrari? It's almost as if they're trying to push him out of the door before the end of this, before the halfway mark this season, and just send him to retirement. Whilst I've got to give Sebastian Vettel a 6 out of 10 because I don't really, it might not be his fault, but that performance was literally a 6 out of 10. And in 11th place and the last finisher was, of course, Nicholas Latifi. And, of course, being this big his Grand Prix debut, I'm going to give him 8 out of 10. Kept his nose clean. Yes, I know he was running last for pretty much the whole race, apart from when Grosjean had his problems. Latifi was actually not that slow in comparison to George Russell. Which all I can say is, he did the bare minimum, and he kept his nose clean, didn't do anything stupid. So, an 8 out of 10 because of, well, I haven't really got anything to criticise him about. 12th place was Danny Kvyat, 7 out of 10, just outpaced by Gasly all weekend. He was not that particularly impressive in wheel-to-wheel combat. Race pace average. I mean, come on. I mean, of course, and then of course he got that late race puncher late on when he was fighting Ocon, and frankly, I mean, I mean, he was comfortably outpaced by Gasly. 13th and the final driver classified because, of course, he retired late on. Was, of course, Alex Albon. What a great race he had. 9 out of 10. You know, fighting for a podium place, giving Lewis Hamilton so much stick. And if, you know, if he had not been spun round, he could have well have got those two Mercedes who were struggling with gearbox problems, and he could have well have been on his way to winning this race. But of course, his car did break down late on. So really, probably was going to, well, he was always going to, he was never going to finish this race, but my goodness, he's actually given us such a good account of himself at last. You know, I've been doubting whether Alex Albon was really good enough for that Red Bull seat. He's finally stepped up, and it turns out to be he had an electronics issue, which, I mean, Red Bull, Red Bull once again having reliability problems. Some things never change at that team. The retirees include Kimi Raikkonen, who suffered that wheel problem at 7 out of 10. Kimi had very good race pace. He was actually quicker than Vettel before he retired, by the way, folks. I know, and Alfa Romeo was quicker than Sebastian Vettel's Ferrari, but that's exactly the pace Kimi was going at. George Russell retired 9 out of 10. Oh my goodness me, he had such a great race until that fuel pressure issue got ahead of Kimi's Alfa Romeo. He was giving both horses quite a lot of problems all race. Of course, the two horses, Romain Grosjean, 5 out of 10, just went off the road a few times and just pulling the most typical Romain Grosjean performance possible. And he had to retire because of brakes. Kevin Magnussen, his teammate, also retired because of brakes, but Kevin Magnussen had actually been fighting for points earlier on. 8 out of 10 for Magnussen because he was giving the likes of Ocon and the Alpha Tauris a lot of stick. What a shame he retired, because I think he would have been in for a very strong points finish, probably 8th place, if his car could last, but nope, he didn't. Lance Stroll, 7 out of 10, his engine failed. Now, he was around in 7th or 8th place. He wasn't that impressive, but at least he was doing a competent performance. Daniel Ricciardo, 7 out of 10, his car overheated. He was pretty much roughly around the same area as Lance Stroll was. But, you know, doing an okay job, but not outperforming the car. And then, of course, the first retiree of the race was Max Verstappen, who suffered an electronics issue. Max was running second, and then, of course, I don't know whether he got overtaken by Lewis on pure raw speed alone, or whether he got overtaken by Lewis because of the electronics problem, but I'll give him 8 out of 10 because, you know, Max Verstappen, as per usual, was giving a very punchy, aggressive performance and could have been a contender for the race winner once again, because Max Verstappen lost this track. Of course, he is the guy who did win this race 2 years in 2018 and 2019. Reject of the day, it's got to be Romain Grosjean. Not a good performance whatsoever. Yeah. But having said that, a very entertaining race to watch. A lot of action, a lot of aggression and punch from the drivers on the first day back in front of a spectator crowd of precisely 0, because of course we are under lockdown regulations. Please be safe, everyone. Look after your families and so on and so forth. This has been Crystal Racing, and thank you for watching.